Yelling at your kids when something goes wrong is one of the dumbest fucking things you can do. Smacking your kids when things go wrong, even worse. Now you've got a parent who's dysregulated, you've got children who's dysregulated, no one's higher human functional mind is working. Children don't have prefrontal cortexes to understand what's going on at a higher level of abstraction that we do as parents, even if you're neurodivergent. Like I'm 35 this year, my prefrontal cortex, I'm pretty sure I only switched on in the last 6 months. This morning, things went wrong. I text my clients last night, I'm sick. Obviously, I sound like hell, I look like hell, I feel like hell. I'm laying in bed, Mrs. goes off to work, I get the kids ready for school. I said, look, I'm just gonna lie in bed, I feel fucked. I'm going to chill. When you're ready, we'll go. Get in the car, everything's all good. Get to school, my youngest, who's inattentive ADHD like myself, she forgets her school bag. Or at least we think she loses her school bag, left it at home. I drop the oldest off, she goes to school, I give her a kiss and cuddle. I'm frustrated because I have to drive back home. We get home, the front door is wide open, the oldest one, the door was locked, but the oldest one didn't shut it behind her. I walk inside, look for the bag. No bag. Walk back out to the carport, front door. Hey, where's your bag? It's on the couch. No, it's not. It's not on the couch. Where is it? Walk back to the car. She lifts up her karate bag. Oh, look, her school bag. I get really frustrated. I slam the door. I slam the front door, make sure it's locked, get back in the car, drive along, take a few breaths. She's upset. I'm upset. Everyone's dysregulated. I haven't yelled, I haven't raised my voice. And then I said to her, I'm really sorry. I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at myself. This is my responsibility. If we were at school and I was thinking clearly, I could have looked through the cart first. This isn't your responsibility. You remembered everything that you needed to remember. This is mine. I don't want you to feel bad. I don't want you to feel upset. I don't want you to feel stupid. I don't want you to feel anything. This is me. This is my problem. This is my responsibility. You're my responsibility. Now you're upset and dysregulated. I'm upset and dysregulated, and that's on me. You're a child. How are you meant to have the faculties to be able to process, deal with all of my bullshit, all of your stuff? You just don't have the ability to do so. So then she stops crying, calms her breathing down a little bit, and I tell her a story. I say, if this was me in your position as the child, and my parents were the one that drove me to school and I lost my school bag or forgot it at home, I would have been screamed at and I would have been belted. I would have been sitting in the back seat crying my eyes out. My mum would have been screaming at me, probably hit me a few times. My dad definitely would have been screaming at me, definitely hit me a few times. And I probably would have had to have been like dropped off on the side of the road close to school and walk myself in, get a late slip and deal with all the embarrassment and the shame and the guilt that goes along with it for fucking everyone else's life up, even though it's the parents' responsibility to pick up the pieces and to have everything in check. And she looked at me and said, what do you mean? I said, well, things were different when we were kids. Smacking was how we got disciplined. And I told her, I'm like, I've smacked you a few times, but I've never ever belted you. Same with your sister. I've smacked her a few more times, but it's never ever been a belting. She goes, what do you mean a belting? And I told her, well, I've been hit with the jug cord. I've been hit with wooden spoons. I've had wooden spoons break over me. I've been smacked upside of the head by, my parents, by grandparents. I've been kicked in the ass, like a bunch of violent things. And she looked absolutely shocked. Parenting's different now. The one thing I want to make sure with my kids, my daughters, and I don't have sons, so I can't talk into that. I'm sure it'd be completely different if I had sons. It'd probably be a lot more physical exertion with them for discipline to be able to get that energy out, especially if they're ADHD like I am. But I told them, I'm like, things are different. How am I, as a parent, meant to expect you to understand how to regulate yourself, how to have the memory of an adult, how to, like, all these things? How am I meant to expect you to do that when I can't do it myself? I'm only just learning how to do it for myself in my 30s. How are you at 7 years old and 10 years old meant to have everything figured out? And then when you don't have it figured out and you fuck up because you're human, me scream at you or belt you. Like, it doesn't seem fair, does it? And she looked at me with so much shock in her face. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. I said to her, the most important thing in mummy's and my life is you guys. That's why we communicate so often. That's why you guys can ask us questions. That's why if we ever come down on you and we're disciplining you, you can talk through it. You're not going to get belted, sent to your room. Like the oldest, she got put in timeout. She's 10 and a half, so she got put in a timeout for 10 and a half minutes. That was the first time in 18 months that she's been put in timeout. However, I told her and like started escalating things, and I said, I didn't smack her, did I? And she changed really quickly because she understands, communicates. She spoke to me afterwards and she goes, Dad, I don't understand why I was in timeout. So we spoke through it, and then she goes, okay, yeah, I understand. This was a boundary and I crossed it. And I said, yeah, there was a boundary and you crossed it, but we can talk about it, can't we? That's one of the biggest things with all of my kids, with your guys' kids too. If you're not regulating yourself, if you're not working through your shit, all of your shame, your anger, your guilt, resentment, all the things, all the negative emotions, all the negative experiences, any possible traumas, any like maladaptive coping mechanisms, especially if you're neurodivergent. Like I've got a lot of people who are neurodivergent on my profile, on all of my channels. If you're not looking after yourself, if you're not doing the work on yourself, how the fuck do you expect your kids to do it? If you're not regulated and looking after your nervous system and not burnt out like I am, that's why I'm sick. How do you expect your kids to do it? They're modeling from you. And that was one of the biggest things that was like eye-opening to me when I went and did all my study, learning about, the 7-year cycles from 0 to 7, the imprint phase, the modeling phase, so on and so forth. It's very alarming. I learned who my role models were, and it wasn't my parents. I learned that they were my negative role models. Do the opposite of what they do, which is pretty crazy to think. My role models were things like Superman, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Goku, like martial artists, businessmen, movie actors, like powerful people. Because I was like, my parents are not that. I don't want the life that they have. I'm going to do the exact opposite. I'm going to be a rebel. I'm going to be the black sheep of the family. I'm going to go this opposite way and do all the things that I want to do. You have to look after yourself, because if you're not looking after you, how are your kids going to get looked after? It's so important that you're doing the work, that you're eating healthy, you're working on your mental health, working on affirmations, changing the subconscious belief systems and stuff like that, doing everything you can to be able to make sure that your kids have the best shot at a prosperous, abundant, amazing, connected, like intimate life. You're their guide. They have no one else. I've got a client now. I'll talk to you guys later. Much love. Take care. Follow me to rise higher.